Hey, what's going on YouTube? Orstorm here with another deck profile for you guys today. Today I'll be profiling BLS. This is more of like one of those kind of like re-intro decks. This is kind of going to be Dimensions of Chaos week where I introduce you guys to new decks that we're going to be getting in the next set. Today will be BLS. The next deck profile will be I can't remember. Will be Gradles. Next one will be Matter Spectre. So as far as BLS, there's two different variants that you actually run in BLS. You can run the variant with the small BLS level 4, which is called the 4/4 variant, and then you have the 7/1 variant with the Karibo monsters. You can't really you don't have the room to run. You don't have the room to run both. Like you can't fit them both in the same build. So I kind of felt like, especially with Reinforcement of the Army placed to 1 on the last ban list, I felt that the Gaia variant was a little bit better of the two. So anyway, that other cards I guess I've seen in some builds, because a lot of the Gaia monsters get effects when they are attributed, similar to erratic monsters, is emergency controller, because you contribute contribute off the Gaia monster to get their effects. So it's a pretty interesting tech, but I didn't really find the need for it. So let's get to the deck profiles. First off, we have 3 copies of Awakened Gaia, the Fierce Knight. This monster can be normal summoned if your opponent controls more monsters than you do. And unlike the other one, it'll be a 2300 beater. So if it's tributed, you can special summon 1 Blackluster Soldier monster from your hand or graveyard. Important thing to remember is Super Soldier does not have a summoning restriction to only be summoned by ritual monsters, which is pretty nice. So, and then 1 copy of Big Daddy BLS. This card is the fact that this card is now searchable via Charging Gaia is incredible, and it's just an incredibly potent card. You can easily OTK your opponent if you drop a Super Soldier and a BLS. So, next card is Blackluster Sacred Soldier. This is the other new BLS monster that you can summon via Awakened Gaia. It also can be used as a full tribute for Super Soldier. It's a pretty decent card. And when it destroys a monster by battle, it searches a level 7 or lower warrior type monster. So it's pretty nice. 2 copies of Charging Gaia, the Fierce Knight. This one, it can be normal summon without tributing, but it becomes 1900. If it's tributed, you can add 1 Blackluster Soldier monster from your deck to hand that includes BLS. It's incredibly potent. It's really nice, and that rounds out some of the non-ritual BLS and Gaia monsters. And then 3 copies of Manju. Manju is still pretty key to all ritual decks. It's kind of nice that it dodged getting hit on the ban list. I don't think Manju's ever going to get hit at this point. I think Manju's kind of fair at 3. Lucky for us ritual players. 3 copies of both Karibo monsters. Relevant Karibo's effect is when its card is tributed, you can draw 1 card. And if a monster will be destroyed by battle, you can banish it. Similar to the Djinn monsters. And Sphere Karibo, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard when your opponent monster declares an attack to change it to defense position. And it can also be banished as a ritual monster, as the ritual tribute when it's in the graveyard, like I said, similar to Djinn. It kind of gets your numbers to 7 to 8 and allows you to get to your BLS ritual monsters. And then for the ritual monsters, 1 copy of the original BLS. I still like, having just the 1 OG BLS in the deck. You won't summon it very often, but I kind of like having it, and the fact that it doesn't have any summoning restrictions is really nice. 3 copies of Blackluster Soldier, Super Soldier. This is the new ritual monster. It's sort of like that new magician monster in the magician deck, Enlightenment Paladin. When it destroys monsters by battle, it sends the graveyard and it inflicts damage equal to its attack to your opponent. And then when it dies, you can special summon 1 Gaia, the Fierce Knight monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And you can only special summon this guy once per turn. So it's definitely something to think about. It's a really good card, and it kind of like the backbone of the new BLS deck. 1 copy of Burial from a Different Dimension to recycle your banished monsters. It can happen quite a bit. 1 Foolish Burial to get your Karibos and other things you need in the graveyard. 2 copies of Gateway to Chaos. This is a new field spell. Can be activated once per turn. So it's sort of like an Oracle of the Zephyr for BLS. So when it's activated, you can add 1 Blackluster Soldier Ritual monster or 1 Gaia, the Fierce Knight monster from your deck to your hand. Each time a monster is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you can place counters on it and remove up to 6. And then you can remove 3 to add one ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. So the fact that it can add any ritual spell is pretty nice. I'd be interested to test this card in other decks, but it's pretty decent in this one. You don't really need 3 because you only have 3 targets to search. You're going to be searching anyways, and 4 ritual monsters, so 2 is kind of the ideal ratio. 2 copies of space, always run 2 MSTs in every deck. 1 copy of Regeki, it's a staple right now. 3 copies of the ritual spell. You have to. The reason why you have to run these little Karibos is you have to tribute monsters who equal exactly 8, and you could also banish this card from your graveyard to add one to special summon 1 Blackluster Ritual Soldier Ritual monster from your hand. It also ignores the summoning conditions, which is pretty cool. I like the card. 1 copy of Terraforming to search our gateway, kind of 1 Terraforming to 2 gateways, pretty decent in terms of ratios. 2 copies of Blazing Mirror Force. This is more just a test, but the card has been pretty decent for me so far in testing. 1 copy of Bottomless Trap Hole. It's pretty much a staple with pendulums going forward. 2 copies of Fiend Grafing. You have 6 total targets, so 2 is kind of ideal in ratios. You can send your Karibos, particularly your Sphere Karibo, to the graveyard, and it's really decent at controlling your opponent's graveyard. 3 copies of Fiendish Chain. I love Fiendish Chain. It's probably my favorite trap card. And 1 copy of Solemn Warning. Now for the extra deck, you don't use it that much, but nevertheless, I'm going to talk a little bit about everything. 1 Castel, it's a staple. Spin any card. Problem cards are causing you problems. 1 copy of Gaga Cowboy to win games. 1 copy of Gallant CI's Full Armor Photon Dragon to snack on top of our Tachyon Dragon. It's a pretty decent card. It can destroy 1 card on the field. 2 copies of Ghost Trick Dullahan, and it's a pretty for a rank 1. It's pretty decent. Being able to have your opponent's monsters attack until for every is pretty nice. 1 copy of Draco Sack. It's kind of it's not the best of the rank 7s, but I feel like it's necessary. 1 copy of 101. I still run 101. And Castel, I feel like kind of having one of both is a good idea. 1 copy of Tachyon Dragon. Tachyon Dragon's still a pretty decent card. And you can make it pretty decently in this deck. 2 copies of number 11 Big Eye because rank 7s you can make rank 7 at a decent clip in this deck. 1 copy of Utopia Roots. It's a pretty decent card, and it's among the rank 1s. 1 copy of number 63 Shamoji Soldier. Most of the time this is kind of like a little bit of dropout. It's not a bad card, and it's also got a 2000 but. 1 copy number 74, Master Blades for the Burning Abyss matchup and all these annoying targeting effects that still run around in Yu-Gi-Oh! 1 copy of Flare Metal Dragon. You make this basically when your opponent's low on life points and they have a lot of trouble dealing with it. And lastly, 1 copy of... Now, obviously, this card is not legal, but there's a lot of other cards you can turn in its place, such as maybe like a second Flare Metal or any staple rank 4, but this card is still been Princess Sprite. This card's effect is basically you can excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a spell or trap card, add it to your hand. Otherwise, send it to the graveyard. Pretty decent card. In fact, that's one of the reasons you run it in this deck. So anyway, guys, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching today. I really appreciate when you guys watch my videos. So on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays for my Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. If you like what you saw off this video, please subscribe. It's Storm signing out.